everybody and welcome to another top 5 records video, and today I'm going to be discussing the best 5 albums from 1960. And I think 1960 is a very interesting year because people were doubting what's going to be next. They had skiffle bands and nice voiced singers. Rock and roll was somewhere, but it was kind of vague where it was. Elvis was in the army. What was blues doing? But we didn't have the Beatles and the Stones and the Who yet. So it's a very interesting time, and it gave us some very interesting albums. So I'm gonna kick off the top 5 best albums from 1960. I'm gonna kick it off with this album, Muddy Waters at Newport, 1960. Now, why did I put this album on the number 5 spot? This is one of the great blues albums. Muddy Waters' energy on this live recording, this Newport recording, is energetic. It's awesome, and it is ballsy. I mean, this record has songs like "Tiger in Your Tank." It's not literally referring to a tiger, and the tank is not a real tank. This man had obscene lyrics, and he just, I mean, 1960. He put those kind of songs out there, and there are so many good songs. I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man, Baby Please Don't Go, I Got My Mojo Working, and I Got My Mojo Working Part 2, I Feel So Good. There are so many great blues songs, and his energy is awesome. If you ever come across a copy of this, go ahead, buy it, and I'm really sure you'll love it. On the number 4 spot, I just said Elvis went to the army. Well, 1960 was also the year that Elvis came back with this record. Elvis is back, and this is by far one of the best Elvis Presley records from his career. Why? Now, Elvis did not do a lot of recordings for an album per se. So it did not often occur that he went into the studio to make an album which stood out as a whole. You know, and this album, he got back, it worked as an entire record, you know. Mostly it were singles, something recorded here, something recorded there, and it makes for a different sound, it makes for a different attitude. And this album, it's a real great Elvis album. It doesn't have a lot of hits, but it is a unity. And which is also interesting about the cover art. You know, there are loads of this is Colonel Parker working. You know, pictures of Elvis in the army. He tried to tell America, your sweetheart came back from the army, and it is an amazing album. It's a great album. On number 3, this is also a wonderful one. Hank Mobley, Soul Station. Now, this is one of the great Blue Note albums. This is an album with Art Blakey on drums, Paul Chambers on bass, and Hank Mobley on tenor sax. Bloody hell, does this create an atmosphere in your house, and it sounds so incredibly good. This has just been reissued by Blue Note in the most amazing sounding pressing. There are, of course, some pressings which go for about hundreds and hundreds of euros, which challenge this one, and they beat them slightly. That's what I've heard from shootouts. Nevertheless, for about 20 or 25 bucks, you get a Kevin Gray remaster of this album, and it sounds stellar. I mean, it is audiophile quality for a normal price. Find this one, the Classic Records pressing of Soul Station. Now, on number 2 in this list, bought this a year ago and fell in love with it immediately because all the songs on here, almost all the songs, I recognize them. This one, A Date with the Everly Brothers, is a hit machine. And these guys, you know, growing up I always thought, the Everly Brothers, these are these harmony guys. It's boring old music. No, it's far from it. They have such tender, beautiful melodic voices. They are so sweet, the voices. But the songs have so much power. I mean, this record, this album, it has Love Hurts, Lucille, um, Cry. I mean, if you put this on, I guarantee you're gonna have a great time. It just goes on and on and on. It's amazing, an amazing album, and it just as the other one, it makes atmosphere. When you put it on, it creates an atmosphere. You listen to it, and the harmonies, what they're doing musically, it is amazing. It's a great album. Now, on the number 1 spot on this list is an album I've been looking for quite a long time, and it's one of the albums which made me fall in love with the blues. It's Willie's Blues by Willie Dixon. And if anybody doesn't know who Willie Dixon is, I'd say, perhaps even by far, the most important writer in the history of blues. Not most important performer, because he wrote the songs which would, for chess records, which would go to a Howlin' Wolf and a Muddy Waters, and they would actually be battling each other for who would get which song. Because a Willie Dixon song in those days at chess records in Chicago, I mean, those were the hits. This man was one of the big hit machines on the level of, say, a Beatles. I mean, writing wise, you know, how many hits he wrote? Level of the Beatles. If you look at the big albums by bands like The Doors, Led Zeppelin, Cream, Jeff Beck, what they're playing very often are Willie Dixon covers. This man was essential to the Chicago blues. Now, of course, there are other great writers, and a lot of blues songs find their history in long traditions of songs which have been given to each other. Robert Johnson is, of course, one of the big important writers. But this man, Willie Dixon, this is the blues hit machine. And on this record, almost no hits. It's an intimate, brilliant blues album, which has this great soothing flow. It's a warm, soulful blues. I mean, the strange thing is, Willie Dixon is a hit machine, but he never became a hit himself as a singer. And that's strange because this man has the most amazing voice. He is one of my favorite blues voices. Perhaps he's just even one of my favorite voices. If you find this album, buy it. Buy it blindly, because the experience of listening to this, it will make your day. It might even make your week or month, and there's also a big chance it will make your year. It is so good. Now, that was my list of top 5 best albums of 1960. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.